Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to Live Wire Sports Media, taking you on a Sunday stroll. You know what it is. So, one of the most polarizing players in WNBA from the last year or so has been playing overseas in China, will not be returning back to the WNBA this year. Instead, this person will be playing over in Mexico. Yes. Chennedy Carter, who everybody seems to forget has a history of bad behavior in the WNBA. And there was some advocacy for her to be on the Fever. Can't see that ever happening. Then she came out recently in the last week and put out a statement about what happened with her and Caitlin Clark. But nevertheless, we already know there was a bunch of smoke blowing up our butts at that time because she know good and well what she did. She tried to make excuses for it, tried to clean it up because nobody picked her up in the WNBA. And for the fact of the matter is that this is not her first time being exiled out of the W. Despite her could play ball, all that stuff, a great player. But the attitude, the mental state isn't there. And we just seen that Sedonia Price didn't get picked up in the W. She didn't, matter of fact, not picked up, but she didn't even get drafted in the W, because the fact of the matter is she had a bunch of allegations. Same thing, bad temperament, bad attitude, bad temper. So, and then you look at Chennedy Carter, well, you say, well, hey, Chennedy Carter is a better ball player than Sedonia Prince. Yeah, I agree with that. But that does not excuse the bad behavior because I don't care how good you are. If your play is bad, and knowing that Kathy Ingeberg just came out with a statement about cleaning up some stuff in the W, they've taken a look at all of that. So, despite all of that, Kennedy Carter would not be playing in the WNBA season. Now, if some teams get desperate and have injuries, then that's a whole different thing. But nevertheless, who was the same? So, Miss Carter is playing overseas now. She signed with a Mexican team called Aldet. I said it before I even did this video. Um, Aldetas del Chihuahuas. So if I pronounce it right for any Spanish people out there, then hey, correct me. If I did halfway a good job, then hey, give me a thumbs up or say, hey, I mispronounced it a certain way. It's spelled, pronounced this way. No, no problem with that. So, and according to their Instagram post, they did that. What does this mean for her WNBA career? Well, I can tell you what it means is that basically her WNBA career probably gonna be over because look at the W right now. There's a handful of older players in the league, and their time is running out. And you got all of this talent that's coming in. You got talent overseas. Some of these teams are constantly looking to pull players from overseas. You just seen a few of them got drafted from overseas and everything like that. And you got the draft, you got players coming from the college ranks in. And teams going to be looking to more and more and more to develop these players. Not they don't have time to waste on a player that's not good for the locker room. They trying to develop they're trying to develop um good locker room, good people, and then you don't need some of these young rookies that's coming to the league or people from overseas have to walk on eggshells, deal with somebody that has a bad attitude. And like I said, I'm not an advocate for bad attitude. I don't care how good you are, you know, because you should have learned the first time around when you was in the league. Apparently she hasn't, because that instance, that instant from Caitlin Clark pretty much got her out of the league. To be all honest, that instant when Caitlin Clark got her out of the league, because they probably sent a memo to these teams. We don't even know what was being said. They probably sent a memo to these teams and said, hey, do not pick her up. And then you look at the Chicago Sky organization, they didn't even try to resign her. A lot of people thought she was going to get resigned back to this team, and nobody wanted her. And then the one person that was cheering you on to what you did to Caitlin Clark didn't even come out and speak for you, to advocate for you to be on the team. That just goes to show you that you went out on a limb to prove something, to act like you was tough, and then the person that you was trying to um showboat for didn't even talk for you. Because guess what? They fired the coach who was babying you, coddling you, promoting that bad behavior. That's why Angel Reese was acting the way she was. Now that the organization's going in a whole different way, I guarantee you, you'll see a different mindset of Angel Reese, because I don't think Tyler Marsh is going to play that over there. So, and then you think about this. This is Kennedy Carter history so far. There could be more. Her journey in the WNBA has been tuteless, tremendous, whatever the word is. Suspended definitely by the Atlanta Dream in 2021 for conduct detrimental to a team. Bench for poor conduct and waived by the Sparks in 2023. Not re-signed by the Chicago Sky despite leading the team in scoring. Now, you tell me what that sounds like to you. Three separate incidents, and you have not learned from one. Not at all. And then the one with the Sparks, that's the one where Liz Cambridge was on her team. And I did a video way back about what Liz Cambridge had to say about that situation. So, what that tells you about a player that really can't get it together. The only success that she's really having is being overseas in China. Now she'll have success down in Mexico. Matter of fact, she probably fit down there with them. She might become a wrestler. So shout out to Ben Daniels. You know, he always used the wrestling analogies for Kennedy Carter, calling her and Angel Reese the Dudley Boys. Now, I say this. If the WNBA had the Detroit Shark back, hey, she would be perfect to play for them, because she has the bad boy mentality. She would fit right with the bad boy Pistons if they were still existing right now. But it's a shame. It's a shame that a young lady that has great talent and probably would have a greater potential if she cleaned up her act in her mind. She has become a detrimental to herself, to be honest with you. She has become a detrimental to herself, because the fact of the matter is that she can't get out her own way. When you and then she feels like she's so good, and it's all right to be arrogant and good. We already see what it did to Shador Sanders in the NFL. We already see what that does. He almost went undrafted. he almost went undrafted. So, and not saying that Shador Sanders is anything like Kennedy Carter, but I'm just using an analogy. And if some of y'all are pretty smart and clever out there, then you understand where I'm going with it, how I'm twisting it, how I'm going with the situation. But for Kennedy Carter's standpoint, she either need to seek some help, she either need to change her mindset, how she's moving, understands that being in the W is almost every young lady's dream. And if you really want to get in the back in the W, you're gonna have to clean up some of your act. You need to go to an organization that's gonna really embrace you and lead you in the right direction. And you have to be genuine and sincere about how you moving. You can't go in with these teams thinking, oh, I know I'm better than half all these players. And she probably is. But because you could score a bunch of points and you can't carry a franchise by yourself. You need help and you need to be coached how to utilize your skill set to benefit the whole team, not just yourself. That's the difference. See, overseas, she could play the way she want to play because nobody's going to really check her about that. But she thinks she could come back in the WNBA and do the same thing and not be held accountable for it. Sometimes, sometimes the saying goes, you can always be your worst enemy, and you won't realize the opportunities that you had until you don't get the opportunities no more. So I say this to say that, man, like I'm not me personally, I'm glad that she's not a part of the Indiana Fever franchise. You know why? Because nobody wants to deal with that. We already took on Bree Turner. We already took on Cindy Colston. Why in the hell will we take on Candy Carter? Nobody probably would be really eased around her, to be honest with you. You already know Caitlyn moves a certain way. You know Leo Boston moves a certain way. You know Kelsey Mitchell moves a certain way. So, me personally, I think it's best for her to continue to play ball overseas or in the Mexico League, wherever she's at, because I think her opportunity with the WNBA is pretty much over unless she changed her way of thinking, and I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it does for her sake, because if she doesn't never get an opportunity to play in the WNBA, anybody could pretty much just sit back and say what could have been. That's what I'm saying. So, like I said, there's too much talent of these women that's going to be coming hungry and trying to prove themselves, and nobody's going to be spending time wasted on a person that can't get their act together. So, me personally, I feel for her. Nah, then again, I don't, because you did it to yourself. Be honest, you did it to yourself. So, I don't feel bad about it. I'm not advocating for her. You know, I think she just before she come back in the W, just like they did with John Morant, they did with Kyrie Irving. I think the league needs to do that with her. I think they need to put some conditions on her, and she has to abide by them conditions. And if she doesn't, then she can't come back in the league. Heck, I remember, I said this before in a lot of my videos. If Roger Goodell was the commissioner of the WNBA, half of the stuff that goes on the WNBA wouldn't be going on. And I guarantee you, Kennedy Carter probably been suspended for a year, or whatever, or she would have got suspended for that act that she did against Caitlin Clark, for real. So, but anyway, that's my time. You know what it is. Like, comment, subscribe. Taking you on this Sunday, Sunday stroll. Um, I gave you a Saturday vibe. Now I'm taking you on a Sunday stroll, relaxation, carrying into you to your Monday. So again, Livewire Sports Media, and I'm out.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment.